Are you one of the many busy professionals working in offices day in and day out? Do you wonder how some people grow their wealth fast, retire early, and play on workdays? Well, you're in luck, because Ginny Bolling hosts this show, Pivot to Prosperity, where she interviews people that can do just that. Play on workdays. Many guests have become financially free. She also interviews people that are on their journey and people that are in support roles, like attorneys, contractors, brokers, and others. Commercial real estate is the common element. She is on a mission to be sure busy professionals know they can own substantial commercial properties too, like apartments, self-storage facilities, and others, and not have to do the work managing them. Passive investing is the key. Syndications are the typical method. Tax write-offs are some of the biggest rewards. Ginny and partners find the deals, build a strong team and business plan, then offer the investment opportunities to passive investors. New episodes are released every Tuesday at 12, so watch for new releases. If you want to get involved, let us know. You need to get pre-qualified to hear about most deals. See the show notes for contact information.
Hello. Ginny Bolling here with Pivot to Prosperity, brought to you by Pivotal Real Estate Investments, where we help investors build wealth and income through commercial real estate that also improves communities. And today we have Senate Eskridge with us. Senate, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jenny. I'm excited to be here with you and your audience.
I met you probably 3 years ago, I think.
Yes, 3 or 4.
And maybe 4, yeah. And I know you through several different groups. You're known to be extremely active in the commercial real estate investing space. And you are an authority that many people like to talk to before making decisions. So that makes you a very important person, right?
Thank you.
I would say, I know I'm surprising you by saying that probably, but it's true. You always have very, very pertinent things to say. And I too like to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to read your bio, even though it said it's framed in the first person. I'm going to try to add that here a bit. I'm going to skip the, hey, I'm Senate.
Appreciate that.
He was born and raised in Twin Falls, Idaho, where he built a life centered around family, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. His wife, Carrie, and he have raised 5 amazing children in the Magic Valley, or as he likes to say, nope, we don't have kids, we have adults. Together, we've tackled life as serial entrepreneurs, founding ventures like the Idaho Summit and the Idaho Real Estate Conference, while balancing our passion for community and business. The professional journey is including, like we were just talking, over 1,000 multifamily units, which I'm pretty sure is way over that. It sounds
It
like
is way over, yeah.
across the country and counting, and helped nearly 100 people from all walks of life invest in multifamily real estate. There's nothing more rewarding than helping others take control of their financial futures. And then the diverse background with skills and insights from all different types of investing is where you're coming from. It's that part of it's cut off, like I say. I will say the Magic Valley Real Estate Investors Meetup is a space for education and connection among local investors. And you are the leader of that and been actively involved in the Twin Falls Chamber of Commerce and served as a board member and as a member of the Snake River Business Network. You work to support and uplift local businesses. That sounds a very interesting group.
Yeah, it's actually a really fun group, yeah.
Well, when you have a river like Snake River, then you're bound to have some fun with it, really, I guess.
Yes.
Helping people solve problems, whether in business or life, is something he's deeply passionate about. He loves diving into conversations, brainstorming ideas, and finding solutions to even the most challenging issues. And that's all true from how I've gotten to know you. And we've been on many calls and in conferences and whatnot. And so what do you realize you need to add to that now that you've listened to it?
Yeah, I realize I probably should rewrite that not in first person, right? And make sure that the unit count's updated. But also the big thing that's missing that I just realized is it really doesn't talk about, the other assets that I've worked on. It talks a lot about multifamily. It talks a lot about my, coaching and things, but I've been instrumental in some business acquisitions right? So we're actually buying multiple businesses across the country. And I've done work on multiple different asset classes, things like build to rent. I also mobile home parks and debt funds, and even some oil and gas work. Uh, and it completely glosses over my single family experience that I had. I did single family for over 10 years. And so there's a lot of information there that could be added, but then also you want to keep it short and sweet. So
Yeah, but I think, different people will relate to you more if you say that keyword that hits them. So you probably ought to throw some more in there, if you ask me. But
happy
if
to
you
do
look at my website, you'll see there's a lot of words there.
that.
So
Yeah.
where'd you go to school?
You know, I actually went to, there's a local university or local college here in my town. It's called College of Southern Idaho, or CSI. I went there for quite a while, but um, to me, raising my family was more important. And so I actually didn't finish college. I took some college, but I didn't finish. And now I don't miss it at all. Like there's some careers out there that you need a 4 or 6 year degree, maybe even more, right?
Yeah.
But in real estate and in the financial world that I'm working in, I've looked at a degree several times and they're not going to help me, right? So it's not needed.
More and more, I think that kids are realizing that they shouldn't go to college unless they need to go to college. I
That's
wish the
right.
high schools would just teach more of the skills for living, because that's the
Hmm.
other function college has served, is to teach people how to adult, right? But it just happens to be coincidental, really, as much as anything. So yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Got a
would.
couple things to say about that. I agree with you. I think that too many kids go to college without a reason or without a goal. And I think that high school should have more of the dual credit courses, where you can actually graduate high school with an associate's degree in general education, right? And so you already have that foundation for that college level knowledge. But something you just said is really important as well. I think that every high school in the country should have an adulting 101 course. Just like little things like how to file your taxes, you know, how to balance a checkbook. Don't forget to check the oil on your car.
Yes, this is what to do if you get a flat,
Yeah,
and how to stay safe.
right, right.
And I see that you also are a wedding officiant and partner. So that was
Ah,
a surprise to see. Have
yeah,
you
yeah.
done
Thanks,
very
Jeff.
many weddings?
Well, I am the second best wedding officiant in the entire state of Idaho. I say that because I'm married to the best wedding officiant in the entire state of Idaho. And she writes all of my ceremonies, and I just read what she writes, in all truthfulness. Together, we've done over 500 weddings in various capacities. So everything from elopements, like literally, at least in Idaho, and I don't know about other places, but you can't just walk into a courthouse and get married, unlike most people think you can do, right? You can walk into a courthouse, you can get a marriage license really quick. But to use a judge, at least again in Idaho, they only do them on Thursdays and only from a certain amount of time, and you have to have an appointment. And they're usually full, couple, 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance. So my wife Carrie will get a phone call and say, "Hey, can you marry us this afternoon?" And so we'll run out. One of us will run out and do just a quick elopement, right? Really easy, 15, 20 minutes with kind of a pre-written ceremony. But then all the way from that up to my wife is a full-blown wedding planner. My favorite wedding she ever did was for a gal. She was Asian. I'm not sure exactly which country, but she didn't speak very good English. And she literally sat down with a bridal magazine with my wife Carrie and like just started pointing at things she wanted. And she was able to design the whole wedding for her. Like she did everything but pick out the dress. And the person had to write one check, and she was able to do the whole thing.
Wow. That's a real service for someone in that situation in the US, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, I've only done one wedding, and that was a long time ago, and it was fun. But yeah, that's Cool. But so, and then you're also an author and a speaker and a writer. That's not in your bio. Don't forget that.
True. That's true.
So,
Yes.
yep. So what did you write?
I've written several small publications about creating wealth, about passive investing. A couple of them are on Amazon, but they're short little 99-cent books, that type of thing. I'm in the process of planning a full-blown published book. It's not written yet, but I've got 4 or 5 things I've published.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
And registered investment advisor for 8 years too. That was
Yeah,
with Transamerica. That's a good company to have gotten some experience with, I would say.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I was in that industry for about 10 years total. Like it says there, I was licensed for
Uh,
8 with that license. Before that, I did life insurance only for 2 years and then added that in. So I've got about 10 years of experience helping people invest with life insurance, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, things of that nature. Loved doing that. But the whole time I was investing my money in real estate. And so I felt this pull internally, right? I'm telling my clients, yeah, let's set up a 401k for you for all your employees and they can start putting money in, right? And we'll put it up into the stock market and we'll put it here, we'll put it here. And the same time I had all my money tied up in real estate. And so I just really kind of felt torn by that. And in 2020, I decided to start helping people invest into syndications. And Transamerica said, no, can't do that. You got to make a choice, do one or the other. And so I left that company uh, and went full time into real estate at that time.
Right. Well, that explains a lot. And that was a very interesting time to jump in. As I shared with you in 2020, I was thinking, wow, if people aren't going to be paying rent, maybe this isn't the time to get into multifamily. And I've been kicking myself ever since because, as you know, many properties performed to their 5-year goals in 18 months, 24 months. So
Yes.
tons of people real that the word spread, syndications took off, which was great. Except we did have a lot of people jump in and start doing it too that really didn't have the real estate experience. And so there to what I call right now is that correction for some of that. So but yeah, no, you had um a lot of background in the houses and all the rest of it too. What years were you doing housing?
2009 to 2019.
Oh, perfect
Um,
timing.
yeah, so I started right after the crash in '08. So funny story. Actually got into real estate on accident. So I had a house that was 25 miles from where we worked, and we would drive 3 cars, 25 miles one way, right? So we were driving 150 miles a day, and in 2009, 2008, gas was a lot higher than it is today. And not to mention the wear and tear and everything like that. And houses were cheap. So I was able to buy a house closer to where we all worked. And just the savings on gas and things like that was able to pay my mortgage on this second house. But what I didn't realize was I need to sell the house I was living in. And it sat on the market for almost 6 months. Nobody bought it. And so what do you do with a house you can't sell? You rent it out, And now all of a sudden, instead of bleeding, I can't remember what it was at the time, $1,200 a month for a mortgage or something like that. Now I'm making like $200, $300 a month in income in rent. And this like light bulb went off. Let's go do it again. Right. So I went and bought another house and I went and bought another house. And eventually I had to figure out how to get creative. Right. And so I bought like a fix and flip, like a fixer upper. And I discovered the BRRRR strategy, which is, if you're not familiar with the BRRRR strategy, it stands for buy, rehab, rent, refi, repeat. And so basically, I bought a junker and I fixed it up myself. And instead of selling it as a flip, I went to a bank and I refinanced it based on the new value. and I was able to get all of my cash back and able to go do that process again. And so I did that several times where I would do a flip and then I would do a burr, flip and a burr, flip and a burr. And a couple of times I did a couple of what I call accidental wholesales. One of my favorite stories is I bought a house from a lady whose mom passed away, sadly. And she didn't do literally didn't do anything in the house, right? The coroners came and got the mom and I got the house. So I didn't have to deal with the body or any of that kind of stuff, but I was cleaning out all the knickknacks and all that kind of stuff. Uh, and I hired somebody to do it, and they went in and just cleaned it out. That's the only thing they did was clean it out and just got it empty. And um, I got to do that before I even closed on the house because I knew the owner and I was able to get in there and immediately start working. And I was able to make a $30,000 return on that house. And I owned it for like 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Uh, when my business mod for the whole flip and everything, it was only going to make like 60 grand. So I was able to make half of my return and only owning it, I don't know the exact time, less than a week.
Right. Those are the great ones that we remember so well, right?
Yeah, I wish they were all like that, right? But
Yeah,
you
they're
know,
not. And for those
uh,
people that hear these and feel funny about it, they're very rare. They are. So but we share them because they are possible.
they
And
are possible. Yeah.
and sellers do really want to just wipe their hands. I've had those where they just said, take it. I'm not taking a thing out of it. You're having to take it all.
Yeah.
And
But
so they're
the problem with the single family space for me was it was so transactional. And I was never really getting ahead. I made good money. I made good income more than most people make in their salaries in their jobs, and I'm making it doing flips and burrs and things. But at the end of the day, I was still just trading time for dollars, and I wanted a way out of that. So around 2018, 2019, somewhere in that range, I started really researching commercial real estate, right? So I spent time on every asset class you could ever imagine. Some things I spent 2 weeks on and decided didn't make sense. Other things I spent 2 or 3 months on to really learn about. And I decided that multifamily was my niche. And mainly it was because I had all that rental experience from before. And so multifamily is where I doubled down on. And the other thing is when I was doing single family, I did everything on my own. I watched a ton of YouTube videos, read a bunch of books, and did some podcasts, but I never went out and hired a mentor. And when I decided to go into multifamily, I knew that if I'm going to deal with multiple more zeros, I need to make sure I'm doing it right. And so I hired my first coach really when I went into multifamily around that 2019, 2020 timeframe. And I fell in love with the whole coaching concept. And so since then, I've been through 7 different paid mentorship groups that focus on different things. And I'm a
they're like me now.
yeah, I'm a big fan, right,
Yeah,
of coaching.
yeah,
I've spent more money on my real estate education than most people spend on an MBA.
yeah. I get it. Yeah. But that's what qualifies you to be able to share it with other people too. And because it's not like you're sheltered by just one. Um
Right.
you've really got the view of a lot, and I'm sure that gives you confidence to be able to share with others, and I totally get that. And now I'm gonna ask you to focus for a second on what you want that takeaway to be for this, and then we're gonna get back into that side of the discussion because we can obviously chat for a long time. We know that, but we want to make sure we're respecting the time here. So, what is the main takeaway you want people to have from this podcast?
The most important takeaway I think that people need to have is that your wealth is in your control. You get to design the life you want. Full stop. And to me, Jenny, that's all about being intentional and really thinking about what it is that you do want in life and making sure that every single day you're moving and progressing towards those goals. And you have to be intentional about the goals to be able to get there, right? So you've got to know what you want in life and then go and design it intentionally and then put all the action you can towards it.
I love that. And I read the book, Be Your Future Self Now. Have you heard of that?
I have, yes.
It's a great book. It is a great book. But I love that too, as far as your message. And so we're gonna hit that hard. But so what do you suggest people do first if they're just starting to come into investing? Do you have them design their perfect life? Do you ask them to design it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
My initial conversations with an investor are all about the goals that they have. Like, what is it you want to accomplish in your life? What kind of life do you want to have? You know, a lot of times people come to me because I do a lot of coaching and I do a lot of teaching people how to buy apartments. And so a lot of times people will come to me in the very beginning and they think they want to be an active owner. They want to buy like a place in your background, you know, like that looks like a two, maybe 300 unit apartment community, class A minus, something like that. Really nice place. And, you know, that thing is probably $20 million. And people come to me and say, Senate, I want to buy one of these. And when we sit down and we talk about, you know, the amount of work that they have to do to be able to buy something like that and how to run it and all the steps it's going to take and the responsibilities and the risks and all that other kind of stuff, people are like, oh my gosh, I really just want passive income. And what I teach people is that buying apartments is not passive, right? It's a great business, but it is absolutely a business. Every apartment building you buy, you could equivocate that to buying a McDonald's franchise, right? Or a Subway, or I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? A business, right? You're buying a business. And you know, instead of selling sandwiches, you're selling units and it's selling rent, but it's still a business at the end of the day. And so often when somebody goes into that thinking they want to be active, we end up actually helping them become a passive investor because that's really what they want. They think that an apartment building is going to get them mailbox money, and it's not, you know. And so it's all about goals, and it's all about that in the very beginning.
That's a great example of how they need to realize early on if they're going to design their life to really be what they want, then that's a key thing for them to understand. I run across that, of course, all the time too, where people think they want to be owning it and running it. But um, so as far as the coaching that you do you want to elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can definitely dive into that. So, you know, I started out originally coaching for a very large, very well-known multifamily group. And I worked with them for about 2 years coaching their students. And I was just a paid coach that worked with their students one-on-one, you know, and they went through a structured program and things of that nature. And after that, I had the opportunity to help another major brand actually build out their coaching program from the ground up. I built their entire curriculum, designed the entire thing, and helped them launch it. And we had a difference of opinion about the future of the business, right? They wanted to go this way, I wanted to go this way. Let's just say that. And so, you know, I left that group after designing their entire coaching program. And both of those were big groups with hundreds of students. And what I found was a lot of times these students would get lost kind of in the fray. And they wouldn't really know what their next steps were or anything like that. And so I was constantly reaching out to my students to say, hey, let's get your next appointment booked, right? And let's get your next session booked. Let's move you along the progress. And the problem I see with that is that they weren't getting enough individualized attention. I mean, I would have 25 students at a time, maybe 50. On like a really high watermark was probably around 50 students I was coaching at a time. And I was overwhelmed. And so I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. And so now what I do is I do one-on-one individualized coaching for people who want to buy apartment buildings. And so the way that looks is, the first meeting, again, it's all about goals, right? What do you want to accomplish, by when, and why? And then I go back and I build a customized roadmap for that individual person and help them achieve their goals. And since I've been coaching, I've actually helped over 100, I think it's 103 is the number, but over 100 students buy their first multifamily deal.
That's terrific. Yeah, because that's a lot of people that need a lot of help, and you've been doing it for 5 years. That's a lot to cram into 5 years and still do what you have to do and have 5 kids and a wife. And I know I see you at all kinds of conferences. There's a lot in there for sure. You're a busy guy. I don't want to lose sight of though that you're not just multifamily and just that you also are into other alternative investments. So why don't you touch
Yeah.
on those as well? Because I don't want to run out of time to let you do that.
Thanks, Jenny. I appreciate that. I'm proud to say that I'm a multifamily expert, right? I have put well over 10,000 hours into multifamily specifically, every aspect of the business, which is why I can not only buy multifamily, but I can teach people how to do it. But I'm a huge believer in diversification as well. And I think multifamily is a great asset class, and I think everyone should have that in their portfolio. In fact, it's a really good place, the core of your money, right? But I do think that you should diversify and get into other asset classes. And so what I have done is I've actually found multiple partners who are experts in their industry, right? So, if multifamily is actually fairly similar to mobile home parks, but I do think that there's a huge advantage to being that expert in mobile home parks. So when I wanted to do a mobile home park investment, I went out and I found the leading premier expert who I thought was the best of the best in multifamily. And that is what I promoted, right? So what I do now is I bring out roughly 6 deals a year, one every other month, that is going to be a private alternative asset, right? Investment that is going to be diversified. I don't have a hard number of exactly what I do in different categories, but maybe it's a multifamily the first month of the year, and then the second month maybe it's a mobile home park. Third month maybe it's oil and gas. Fourth month maybe it's a debt fund, because Ray Dalio has this famous quote about the holy grail of investing is to have 12 uncorrelated investments that are paying you asymmetric returns. Tony Robbins wrote a whole book about that quote.
It's a
Okay,
great
called The
one.
Holy Grail of Investing. It's one of my favorite books. I think everybody should read it. And it's really 100% a sales pitch for what I do, right? Is you need to have money in alternative assets and at least 12 different investments, right? So I think it's very important, somebody that's getting started, look at their entire nest egg and how much they're going to invest on a regular basis, maybe over the next 5 years, right? Maybe they got a chunk of money now, or maybe they're putting more money in every year, but the goal should be to get to 12 of these investments. And if that means you have to invest the minimum in every deal to get to 12, you should do that, right? But get to 12.
That's great advice, I think. And among those, and among the concept of alternatives, which may be an abstract thing for a lot of people, but it's really just it's things other than, I would say, things other than the stock market and the traditional things that you're allowed to do in your 401ks and whatnot. But
Right.
and it just irks me to no end that real estate is considered an alternative.
Yeah.
Without real estate, we'd be nowhere. We couldn't even exist. So, Mother Earth, real estate. But
A
in any
friend of
case,
mine, a friend of mine said all roads lead to real estate.
yeah, I like that. Yep, yep. Well, and so among all those asset types, would you count? I know we've talked about infinite banking and I've done some training on it and whatnot. I had a round table with Madhvi come and present on that. Is that one of the investment types that do you consider that an investment or what? Is that a savings vehicle, I guess?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of infinite banking, and I actually used a lot of it when I was doing RIA career. We did a lot of infinite banking style strategies. And since I started doing these alternative investments like this, I let that license go, so I can't officially talk about that product, but I've referred people out to a lot of my investors out to people that do infinite banking. And Madhvi is who I refer people to nowadays, right? She's absolutely fantastic at what she does. And the thing that I really like about infinite banking, there's a couple of things I like about it. But the one thing is that you get to reuse the money multiple times.
Yeah.
It takes a little while to get a policy going in the very beginning, and you've got to make sure that you can fund it properly. But if as long as you have the ability to let that cash sit there for that year or two as it starts going, and you're able to fund it properly, I think that everybody should have infinite banking as a part of their strategy. Now, is it the end all be all? No, I don't think it is, right? Some people think it's the holy grail, right? Like, like I love that term, right? But so I'm not as sold on it as some people, but I do think that everybody should have it in their strategy. I personally own four, four or five of those policies.
Yeah. Now, why did you do that many? Because of different
Different people,
thresholds or
different
people?
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have one, my wife has one, my daughter has one, and my grandson has one. So I guess it's four.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right. Well, so we're getting close to our deadline. I want to ask you, is there a pivotal person or event that brought you to where you are today or is pushing you towards some particular goal?
I really appreciate that question. And I think that there's only one person really that I get to talk about at this point, and that is my wife. When the story of my life, we didn't really get into on the personal side, but when my wife came into my world, let's just say I was a mess. And she inspired me. She didn't clean up my life by any means, right? I did it all, but she inspired me to do it, and she gave me a reason to do it. And if it wasn't for my wife, Carrie, no way I'd be where I am today.
That's great. Not many people say their spouse, surprisingly, but that's great to hear. So you know what that means, on our program with local legends and pivotal people, you can tell her you nominated her and tell her I'd love for her to come on the show, whether she's into real estate or not. And if she does, she gets a lapel pin that says pivotal person and she gets promoted in a special way.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'd love to have her on because I'd love to meet your wife.
I'll mention it to her for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and then you just let me know if she'll come on because we can talk about all kinds of things wedding wise or what it's like to be your wife as the um consultant or however you guys bounce things off each other because I know you do.
Oh yeah,
Um
we're both entrepreneurs and spend every day together all day. She's upstairs, I think, probably record on a meeting on her own right now. So
yeah, yeah, that's terrific. Okay. Well, so tell people how they can reach you. We'll be putting that in the show notes, but remember some people might be on iTunes or Spotify, so spell things.
yeah, sure. So if you Google me, you're going to find me, Senate Eskridge, right? But the best thing to do is use meetsenate.com. So it's meet just like at a meeting, right? Uh, Senate, my first name is Senate. So meetsenate.com. And what this will do is there's a link there to all my socials. I've got a free course that I give away on that site, meetsenate.com. There's a link to my website. You can even book a call with me right there on that link, meetsenate.com.
All right, very good. And you got to tell us how you got the name Senate.
Yeah. No political leanings at all. In Idaho, above Sun Valley, Idaho, so between Sun Valley and Stanley, is a place called Galena Summit, one of the biggest mountains in Idaho. And at the base of it is a thing called the Galena Lodge. And my grandfather, before my dad was born, had the mining rights and the logging rights to this area of the country up above the Galena Lodge. And before my dad was born, they camped every summer up there. They would go up there and work, right? That's where they would make their money is by logging and doing the mining. And then my dad was born and his siblings, and they all worked that area. They all spent their entire summer there from the time the snow was gone to the time the snow came. They spent in this area working. And by the time I came around, it was leisure time, right? And so we'd go up there to camp, right? And so I spent a ton of time camping in this area from when the time I was born until I was probably 14, 15. And, a teenager loses interest in spending time with their grandparents camping, sadly. Um, but that place was on Senate Creek.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so I'm named after Senate Creek. In fact, I've got a picture that has myself and my wife standing under the Senate Creek sign, which is really cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you have a couple waterways that have been important in your life with the Snake River and the Senate
That's
Creek.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty
Important.
interesting. Well, it's unique and I really like, it makes you very memorable even more so. So
Thank you, Jen.
terrific. Well, I know you have a hard stop, so I want to let you get onward, but thank you so much for coming on, and we will have you airing fairly soon. I'll be sharing all those notes with you, and we'll be sure that everything's correct for people to find you.
Thank
All
you for
right?
having me. I had a great time. This was a fun conversation. I can't believe the time's already gone, right? It
No,
just goes fast when you're having fun, right?
thanks again. Okay. Oh, say your line one more time.
Your wealth is in your control. You get to design your own life and your own future.
Yeah. Good note to end on. All right. Thank you.